Hey, I'm Cordell, aka Hot Cocoa, and today we're going to talk about how to add celebration into your creative process. When should you do it, and why would it be helpful? Let's dive into it. So for those who don't know, I'm also a creativity coach in addition to doing music production and sound design. And so there's a lot of things that I've seen with clients and with myself that I think would be really, really helpful for helping you shape your creative process. So I'm just going to share it with you here on YouTube. But if you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can go to upwardacts.com, which is in the description below. And there's tons of free resources there, which you can check out. But right now, let's dive into celebration. So when I say celebration, I'm not specifically talking about exactly what it sounds like yay, hooray, like really taking the time to acknowledge the accomplishments that you've done and share them with other people and just bask in the feeling of accomplishment, celebration. Just like, when we celebrate a birthday or a holiday or something like that, it's really about fostering a sense of joy and sharing it with people who care and sharing it with people who care about us, really just allowing ourselves the time and space to appreciate it. And so in the creative process, that's not necessarily always baked in. Like, you can actually create tons of things without ever celebrating what you've done. And so I want to give you a quick overview of the creative process and tell you where I think celebration might fit in. The creative process has several phases, and these phases aren't necessarily linear. You can actually shuffle them around and move from one to the next. But generally speaking, the creative process will start with what is known as the preparation phase. In this phase, you're learning about the problem that you're trying to solve, and you're exploring different topics and subjects and reading things and going to talks and conferences and meeting other people and discussing ideas and just soaking up everything that you can. After that is typically what's known as the incubation phase, in which you are taking showers or going on walks or taking a nap or playing video games or anything that takes your mind off of the subject at hand, either the thing you're trying to express or the problem you're trying to solve or whatever. And this allows your subconscious mind to actually process all of that information that you got from the preparation phase and start to create connections under the surface. From there, that's where your ideas actually appear. This is called the ideation phase, and that's when you get your aha moments and your eurekas and all of that jazz. And this is when you're actually getting into flow, making progress with your creative projects and really diving in and getting into the nitty-gritty and the details to execute that idea. After the ideation phase comes the evaluation phase, and this is when you're doing iteration and trying out different things and really tweaking and mixing and shaping and molding your project until you're getting it closer to what might be considered finished. And once you get to the finished project, that's when the presentation phase begins, which is when you're releasing your stuff and exhibiting it and sharing it with the world. And this is where I think the celebration phase should be inserted into this whole process. Once you've actually presented your work, this is your opportunity to share it with other people in ways that is celebratory. This is the point where you can actually reflect on all that stuff that we just talked about and really bask in what it took to get to that point. And don't break your arm patting yourself on the back or anything like that, but this is your opportunity, because it's so easy to let that slide away from you and just hop right back into the next creative project without really acknowledging, how far you've come. So I want to give you 3 reasons why I think this is where the celebration phase should be inserted. And remember, you can kind of mix and match. So you might be incubating and then celebrating an idea that you had. You can celebrate coming closer to getting to where you're at. You can celebrate learning something new that gets you interested in taking an idea further in a particular direction. But I think the biggest part of the celebration is going to be after the presentation phase, or maybe in conjunction with it or something like that. Reason number 1 why I think celebration should be added to your creative process is because it lets you savor the work that you've actually done. Savoring is when you put your attention on positive feelings that you're having, right? So if you're actually excited that you finished a project, or you're feeling any type of positive emotion that comes from presenting a completed work, you can place your attention on that positive feeling in a mindful way. And research has shown that it'll actually, 1, make the positive emotion feel even more positive. It's like you notice more of it because you're paying attention to it. And two, it'll actually make that positive emotion last longer. So it's like juicing, like getting all the juice out of any positive experience that you're having. So savoring is hand in hand with celebrating, really. So if you're adding celebration into your creative process, you're going to be just feeling more positive emotions, generally speaking, which you can then either put into that project or bring to the next project. And positive emotions has tons of benefits for the creative process. I might do a whole other video on that one. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear more about that. But yeah, savoring can be a huge part of your creative process, and that comes from celebrating what you've done. Reason number two why I think you should add celebration to your creative process is you can do what's called capitalizing on positive events. This comes from a psychologist called Shelley Gable, and it's typically done in the context of relationships, but I think it really makes sense in the creative context to capitalize on these positive events and share them with people who matter to you, right? And so in your celebration process, you can share what you've done with your friends, with your family, with your audiences, with your fans, and have this be the point where you can actually build your relationship with someone else because you're celebrating a win, right? Think about times when people have shared positive things that they've accomplished or done with you, right? You have an opportunity to kind of lift them up and share in that excitement. And so not only are you savoring and building these emotions for yourself, but you can be sharing these positive emotions with other people. Of course, that kind of tiptoes towards the line of like bragging and kind of being obnoxious about it. All of this stuff is going to come with some sort of balance, right? But this is a really good opportunity to actually bring other people into your joyous success and have them celebrate with you so that everybody gets this feeling of accomplishment as well. And that actually ties directly into the third reason why I think celebration makes sense in your creative process, which is it's essentially a good stance to take when you're marketing your work, right? Because a lot of people will get to the presentation phase, they'll put something online and then do absolutely nothing after that in terms of promotion or kind of getting a buzz going or just putting in more work and effort to get an audience to connect with your work. But celebration is an interesting way where you can actually use your celebration phase as a way to post more often or send something out to an email list or talk to people about it at an event or throw an event yourself in like celebration of the project being completed. And celebration is also a stance that doesn't necessarily need to be very salesy, like 20% off if you buy now, that kind of thing. It can come from a place of genuine and authentic gratitude for the work that you've done and, you know, that excitement that you have for having other people experience your work. And I think coming at it from a point of like, hey, I'm celebrating this. I'd love it if you celebrate with me by listening or watching or reading or engaging in my creative work. I think it's a kind of nice way to go about marketing that might feel less icky for some people who struggle with marketing their creative projects. There you go. That's 3 reasons why I think you should add celebration into your creative process. Let me know in the comments if you're already celebrating or some ways that you like to celebrate. And if you want to learn more about this kind of stuff, you can go to upwardacts.com or reach out to me at cordell@upwardacts.com, where you can talk to me about coaching and your own process and any creative blocks you might be having. I love nerding out about that stuff and helping people however I can. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell and leave a comment and make sure that you're celebrating your work. I'll see you in the next one.